Joseph Breen was once the most powerful man in Hollywood, and you probably never heard of him. Film Weekly once dubbed him the Hitler of Hollywood, and from 1934 to 1954 he was Hollywood's janitor, purging violence and smut from the big screen. He was the punctilious prefect of the Motion Picture Production Code, rigorously ensuring that it was upheld to the letter. If you want to see his influence on your favourite old movies, stick around and find out. But first, a quick aside. What is the Motion Picture Production Code? The code, in Breen's own words, was essentially a moral treatise whose rules and regulations stemmed from the ancient moral law which had been accepted by mankind almost since the dawn of creation. In short, the code was a code of ethics that told movie makers what they can and can't show on screen, and all the major studio heads at the time were shanghaied by relentless boycotting into adopting it. It was Joseph Breen and his staff that was put in charge of making sure the code was upheld. He was Moses, the code his stone tablet. If Breen thought your film disobeyed the code, it would not get the PCA seal of approval, which meant even if it did get released, it would most likely be boycotted, obliterating your box office returns. Indeed, Breen had so much power over a film that Harry Warner once said on a phone call, "If Joe Breen tells you to change a picture, you do what he tells you. If anyone fails to do this, including my brother, he's fired." Breens Influence can be seen in all your favourite old movies, such as The Maltese Falcon. Having refused the release of the 1931 version of Hammett's novel on the grounds that B.B. Daniels was too skimpily dressed, Breen's report on the script made a number of demands, mainly about the film's sexual content. This included removing any hint of illicit sex between Spade and Bridget, and any suggestion that the character of Joel Cairo was a homosexual.
I tell you right out, I'm a man who likes talking to a man who likes to talk. Swell.
And in Gone with the Wind, the famous line,
"Frankly, my dear, I don't give a damn,"
was almost removed by Breen, whose substitute line was, "I don't care." Selznick may have won that fight, but when it came to the use of the N-word, Breen was much harder on Selznick. Breen advised Selznick, "We urge and recommend that you have none of your white characters refer to the darkies as N-word." He went on to say, "It seems to us to be acceptable if the N-word characters use the expression, but the word should not be out of the mouth of white people." Is Joseph Breen the reason why the N-word is such a taboo till this day?
Oh my God!
Oh my God.
Though many people saw Breen as the hard fire and brimstone enforcer of censorship, he himself doubted his own power. He once said, "I can scold and argue and coax and threaten, but I have no real authority to stop dirty pictures." That statement was true in some respects, because eventually when filmmakers got more familiar with the code, they managed to find loopholes. Directors such as Ernst Lubitsch were so good at squeezing in anti-code material under innocuous disguises that rival directors were told by studios to screen and study his films to learn how to tiptoe around the code. Fritz Lang was able to bypass Breen's watchful gaze in his 1944 film The Woman in the Window by making it all a dream, and in Scarlet Street, Edgar G. Robinson's character managed to evade punishment for a murder he committed, and the film was still released because he was punished by his own conscience.
Johnny, forever. Oh, you idiot. How can a man be so dumb?
Joseph Breen forced filmmakers to get creative to avoid the obvious and the trite, which inadvertently heightened the quality of movies in that era.
There's a speed limit in this state, Mr. Neff. 45 miles an hour.
How fast was I going, officer?
I'd say around 90.
Suppose you get down off your motorcycle and give me a ticket.
Suppose I let you off with a warning this time.
Suppose it doesn't take.
Suppose I have to whack you over the knuckles.
Suppose I bust out crying and put my head on your shoulder.
Suppose you try putting it on my husband's shoulder.
But by 1954, When the titan Joseph Breen accepted his honorary Oscar, the motion picture production code's influence had been eroded by the Second World War, the invasion of the art house, and the trauma of film noir. If you want to find out more about Joseph Breen, I suggest you read Thomas Doherty's book Hollywood's Censor, as that's where most of the information in this video comes from. Please like and subscribe, and goodbye.